Hey guys, it's Rusty. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the comparison for a real DS game here, Pokemon Platinum, and a fake DS game, Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, that I purchased from Hong Kong on eBay. The first thing you want to look for when purchasing a DS game, or any game for that matter on eBay, is, the seller's region. If they're from the United States, I think they're pretty trustworthy. But I hate to say that people from China, I just do not trust on eBay. Specifically for this reason, I bought two games recently. This one here and New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, and both of which are fake. And I'll explain further in this video why they are, and how I figured it out. But one of the first things that I noticed when I opened up the package was the ink on this game. I don't know if you can see from the lighting in this, but it's much darker than you would see on a typical, or real, I should say, DS game. And another thing that really struck me as odd when I first picked it up was the case here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it like overlaps on the outside like box art, which is not the case on the real game here. It's just, perfect. The box art is perfectly, on the case, while this is not. It's overlapping. Another thing that I noticed, and as I'm sure most of you guys know, all Nintendo licensed games, when you open them, or even just when you pick them up, they're, decently heavy. Well, this one was not, and it's a Nintendo licensed game, so I figured it'd be more heavy. So the next thing I did was obviously open up the case, and the game was in here. And if you can see here, I apologize ahead of time, the focus on this camera is just horrendous, but the sticker here is completely crooked and out of place. It's not perfectly placed like it is on Pokemon Platinum. So that's another thing that you want to look for, is the sticker on the DS game. Is it perfectly in place, and is the ink on it, well done, which this one is not. It's like, it looks like it was sitting out in the sun for like 3 days, and the paint's like worn off of it. It looks terrible. So that kind of leads me to my next thing. If there's no picture of the actual game from the seller on eBay, then you might as well just click off the page, because the ones that I bought from just had a generic case of the games. It wasn't like actually taken by the seller. It was just a generic case that they probably copied and pasted off of some website. So that's another key thing that you need to look for when trying to buy a game off eBay from a seller from overseas. The next thing I want to point out is when I opened the case, the first thing I was hoping for was to see the Club Nintendo paper so I could get points for Club Nintendo. Well, that wasn't in here, and in all Nintendo licensed games, that's in there. I mean, when I buy used games, sometimes I figure, it's probably not in there because the person kept it, but that wasn't the case for this game. It was brand new, factory sealed, and the person said that it had never been opened. Well, this here has the Club Nintendo thing because I bought this game in the United States at a GameStop. So that's another thing to automatically tell. If it doesn't have the Club Nintendo or any of the other instruction manuals for Nintendo or Wi-Fi settings or whatever, then you know that this game is probably a fake. Another thing to look for. Okay, here's Pokemon Platinum. On the back of this, you're not going to be able to see this because I just can't zoom in that closely, but if you look right above this little gold plating here, there's just a random sequence of letters and numbers. Well, this is real, obviously. On the back of this, above the gold plating, it just says Nintendo. So that struck me as another thing that was really, really odd. So yeah, you have to watch out for that too. So if you have the game in your hand and you're about to purchase it, from someone that's maybe trying to resell this game, take the game out, first look at the sticker, and if the sticker's not perfectly placed, then just give them back the game and don't buy it. But if you need even more reassurance, look on the back, and if it says Nintendo, I'm pretty sure no other DS game that's real has that on there. It's usually just a random sequence of letters and numbers. So look out for that as well. Alright guys, so now for the final test. Playing the game. Turn your DS on, you're thinking, wow, I just made off with a great freaking deal with, what the hell? Star Wars Lethal Alliance? No, I'm pretty sure I just freaking bought Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Yeah, okay, so that's the final way to tell you guys. If you put the game in, and it's not the freaking game you ordered, then you know that you screwed up somewhere. But so let's just try and play it and see what happens. Oh, okay, so my DS is like going psychotic here. Oh wait, but it's still Bowser's Inside Story. No, it's not. Because by the time you get through half the game, it freaking like gets all screwed up and freezes, and the next thing you know, your DS pretty much explodes. Okay, so maybe not that last part. Okay guys, so there you have it. General rule of thumb, do not buy overseas. Key things you need to look for. 1, make sure there's an actual picture of the game that the seller has advertised, and it's not just some generic picture taken off like Google or whatever. 2, make sure the sticker is in the right place. I mean, it's not rocket science. The sticker is supposed to go on the DS cartridge, and it shouldn't be all crooked and messed up. And if the paint on the sticker is faded and gross, then you know something's wrong, unless somebody left the DS game out in the sun for like 3 weeks, which I don't think is the case. I think it's just people trying to make off with a few bucks, which is ridiculous, and I can't stand people that do that. 3, look above the gold plating, and if you see a bunch of random letters and sequence of numbers, then you know your game's probably real. If it says Nintendo above it, then yeah, throw the game in that person's face. Not really, that's just rude. And last, but definitely not least, try the game out, if possible. You know, on eBay, obviously, you're not going to be able to try the game, but, you know, the first thing you need to do is just make sure there's a generic picture, or a real picture of the game. If not, and you're like buying from GameStop or, you know, a flea market or something, that's when you go on to the other things and actually take the game out, look at it. If you have your DS handy, or if they have one available, ask them to play it. And if they don't allow you, then you know something's up. But if they do, and it says Star Wars Lethal Alliance, well then, yeah. Unless you're buying Star Wars Lethal Alliance, which I don't know why the hell you would for your DS, then, you know, you're okay. But if you're trying to purchase Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, or New Super Mario Bros. For your DS, and it says Star Wars Lethal Alliance, then it's a no-go, you guys. General rule of thumb, do not buy from overseas. I hope this video helped you guys out, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.